Yeah, hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about event option. So there is a BPM process that is called business process management. So this BPM process is very common. It's not limited to only MDM or ETL. So this BPM process we use in various part of the organization. So for example, let's try to understand what is it. So suppose you are joining any organization and at the time of joining, you need to submit some form to get the assets like laptop, mobile, or other devices. So that request goes to different level of approval. And once all the stakeholders will approve, then only it will go to the final kind of logistic team and they can call you that we have got approval for you. Please come and collect your laptop or device, right? So like that, there are many processes, many use cases are there in all the organization where this BPM process takes place. So to implement this process, there are many tools in the market. It's not like only this event option we have. So in on-premises, we had Active UAS. In Informatica MDM on-premises, we had the one additional tool that was called Active UAS. So Active UAS was a separate tool which can integrate with Informatica MDM on-premises. And there we used to do all the BPM related activity. Okay. So later this Active UAS was acquired by Informatica and they had given a easy connector that if you have an Informatica MDM license and Active UAS license, then you can easily connect these two tools, can do the integration and can do the kind of all the BPM related work and kind of activity. Okay. So if you remember in on-premises project, we used to use mostly Active UAS for such kind of use cases. But in MDM Cloud SaaS, the thing has been simplified because there in Active UAS, we had to handle one additional application. We need to install Active UAS. We need to manage metadata of Active UAS. We need to do integrations of Active UAS with MDM SaaS and all. So there it was more technical. But if you see here in MDM Cloud SaaS, since all the thing has been simplified, so this option has also been simplified. So just we can go to the event option and within the event tab, we can see we have already predefined workflows like 1 step, 2 step, 4 step and all. So we can utilize this predefined workflow. Just we can assign the stakeholders like whom we want to give that authority for the kind of approval or rejection. So just you need to assign the kind of a stakeholders and it's kind of plug and play. So everything is ready. Just assign the stakeholders and your task will automatically flow to the respective stakeholders for the respective conditions defined. Okay. So thing is very clear. In on-premises, we need to spend hours and hour time to simply create a one-step approval workflow also because everything we had to manually do the coding and all. But here everything has been set up in the backend. Just assign some kind of a stakeholders, do some small change, and in 5 to 10 minutes, you can be ready to start working with 1 step and 2 step BPM processes. So now the next question is, if you want to customize this process, then what option we do have? So there is a third application within this IDMC that is called CAI. So CAI. So that we are going to see in upcoming different tutorials. So CAI basically we can customize this entire 1 step, 2 step, 4 step also. Suppose for some of the customized cases, we need to create 10 step approval process. Then that option we don't have in the drop down, right? We have only 1 step, 2 step, and 4 step. So if you want to customize the existing workflow, or if you want to create your own customized workflow, how we can do that? So that we can do from this IDMC CAI. So that is application integration options we have. So that we will see that is basically a separate application. So that we will see how we can customize, how we can monitor those and all. So for today, we are going to focus basically event option, whatever we have in the Business 360. That is the part of MDM Cloud SaaS. So that part we are going to cover. And together with me, I have my team member Pratiksha and Dhirendra. So they will help us to demonstrate further. So I will now pass to Pratiksha and Dhirendra. You can take it forward. You can share your screen and please proceed.
Yeah, so the agenda for today's discussion is explain events, trigger, BPM, and one-step approval task. So in Informatica MDM Cloud SaaS, we have events and triggers that play an important role in automating the data management process by enabling real-time or scheduled actions like automated tasks. So there are certain conditions on which the this events and triggers are there, like they perform their role. First is events in Informatica MDM Cloud SaaS. So what are events? Events are system generated occurrences that indicate a change in the data or system state. Like events are system generated, they are not manually generated, and they indicate a change in the data or system state. These events can be used to trigger some actions like notifications, workflow initiations, or data updates. So for this, what we have to do is we have to go to Business 360 and we have to open any entity that is created, and there next to survivorship, like we have certain tabs. So next to survivorship, we have the events tab. So in events, we have to create the event that we want to create. So for that, what we do is we click on the events tab, then we get three options: user triggered event, system generated event, and publishing event. System generated event is mostly for match and merge process, and publishing is like some ETL process that you want to trigger, and you have a source can be Business 360, and you have a target can be anything like Salesforce or any example whatever you want to take. So what are the type of events? First is data change events. These are the type of events in which there is change in the data. The records are updated, created, or deleted. Second is workflow events. So these are the events that are initiated when a process step is completed or an approval is required. Like we have the events in the workflow where we want the submission approval. So for that, like we'll see in the next slides, for that we have workflow event. Next is system events. So these are related to system operations such as data load completion or any job failure. Next is custom event. Like we can customize the events also. So these are user defined events that are based on certain business logic that the user want to customize. So these are the type of events. So here we have a screenshot of an event that we have created. The name we have given is trigger underscore employee to underscore data underscore change. The type of event is user triggered, and event for employee to this is for the entity employee to, and then we have the workflow affected user roles and all of these things. So basically these are the things that are required when we create an event. So this is the information that we have to give. Now next is triggers. What are triggers in Informatica MDM Cloud SaaS? So triggers are predefined rules or conditions that determine when an action should be executed in response to an event. Like the name itself suggests, trigger, right? So trigger is like a response to an event. So like that, what are the type of triggers? First is predefined triggers. Predefined triggers are built-in triggers for standard operations like data validation, duplicate detection, and workflow initiation. So next is custom triggers. As the name suggests, custom trigger means user configured triggers. So these are basically executed based on custom conditions. Next is time-based triggers. So these are basically, like the name suggests, scheduled to run at specific intervals or after a delay. Like we can give a delay of certain hours or seconds like that. So these triggers are executed. Next is action-based triggers. So action-based triggers, like the name says, it is executed based on specific data changes. For example, when a customer record is updated, then this trigger gets executed. Then what we have is how events and triggers work together. We have seen the events, we have seen the triggers. So how do they work together? First, first event occurs. So first thing is event occurs. a record is updated in MDM. So this is an event that occurs. Now, based on this, a trigger is activated. A rule will check if the conditions are met. For example, if customer type equals to VIP. So what event occurs is a record is updated, and based on that, the trigger will be that the customer type is equal to VIP. Then, after event and trigger, the action would be executed. That is, if event and triggers are true, then a notification is sent, then workflow is initiated, or data is synchronized. So these are the things. Now we have put a screenshot over here where the trigger name is given, where the affected user role, that is customer 360, data steward. We have taken the user role data steward over here, and workflow trigger is required. That is, the workflow would be triggered. So, and we have actions that what we have given to this data steward C360 is create and update. So these two actions they can perform, and the set name is employee 2. So the action should be performed on employee 2 entity. Now the next snapshots that we have is, so it shows a workflow template. First event we have configured, second workflow task, and third is workflow properties. So here we have given is title. So here that is parameterized value. We can see it at the right. So from there we can we can use certain parameters, more than one parameter also we can give. So here for the title we have given is parameterized business entity types, parameterized record name, and so on. For the description also, it is parameterized. Whatever we want to give, we can give. And for the priority, we have taken normal and due in 7 days. So this is whole workflow template that we have given. Now, fourth is use cases of event and triggers. So what are the practical use cases of event and triggers that are used in Informatica MDM Cloud SaaS? First is data stewardship. So data stewardship is the role basically, and it is automatically assigned task when data requires review. So when the data requires review, this data stewardship is automatically assigned the task. So this is one of the use cases. Now workflow automation. So start approval process when critical data changes. Suppose we have changed the first name or the last name. Some change occurs, right? Now we want to send that data, change data for to the workflow for the approval by the admin. So it will do is it will require the approval by the admin, then only change would occur in the employee details. So this is a kind of a workflow automation also. Third is data synchronization. So in this we update downstream systems when master data changes. So here basically when the master data is getting changed, so the changes should reflect to the lower records. So this is data synchronization. This is also one of the use cases. Now next is notification and alert. So when some specific event occurs, so the notification or the alert should be sent to the employees whose data gets changed, or whatever event is required. So an alert should be sent uh, to the people whose records are changed. So one of the use cases is notification and alert. So these are the four use cases that we have discussed. We can have more also, but here we have given the four important ones. Now I would like to invite Dhiren sir and to discuss BPM and the further slides. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Pratiksha. So BPM, as name suggests, business process management, right? So BPM is a kind of a workflow process which we initiate to perform the certain steps based on that there are approval process involved. So it has a complete life cycle where we can add one step, and based on the approval and rejection of that, based on the approval and rejection of that task, we will move on to the further steps. So this is the business process, and this can be automated, right? So we can automate this process so that everything gets executed automatically. So basically, in the cloud SaaS, it refers to the automating and managing business processes through orchestration, data workflows, and ensuring business rules are applied throughout the process lifecycle. So basically, this helps organizations optimize of their operations and ensure that the smooth data handling and integration across cloud environments. So what it is, basically the BPM process is a structured approach to improve how an organization operates using the platform tools to analyze, model and automate business processes. So basically it supports to automate their business processes so that the there is no human intervention required. Whatever we have set up that can get executed automatically. So key features and capabilities. So process design and modeling. We can define and model business processes using tool like process designer or process developer. So we can use these tools to design the business processes. Execution and orchestration. So the platform can orchestrate tasks, integrate with various systems like CRM, ERP, etc., and manage the flow of data and action within the process. Move on to next slide. Then we have monitoring and optimization. So means any process when we create, right, we need to monitor them, and also during the monitor we feel that there are the some performance bottlenecks and all. So we need a optimization also, so that it can run fast and smooth. So in this one, we can track process performance, identify bottlenecks, and make improvements to enhance efficiency and effectiveness. So then automation. So BPM tools can automate manual tasks, reduce errors, and improve overall efficiency. So in the case of automation, right, it reduces the error because there is a less or no human intervention on that, and it reduces the time also because it is already automated. Integration. So BPM process can integrate with other Informatica services like data integration, master data management, and event-driven application. So it is not only limited to the master data management (MDM). We can integrate this with the other Informatica modules like data integration DI or event-driven or any other IDC or whatever. So in this way, we can use to integrate the different application within the Informatica to automate it. Then what is the use case of it? Let's say we have the loan application processing. So we can orchestrate tasks like fetching customer data, running credit checks, and assigning review tasks to an officer. So these things can be like we can leverage the facility of this BPM process, and we can automate this loan application processing. Similarly, we can automate the order fulfillment, and also we can automate the customer onboarding process. So when these things are automated, means like the process will be running smooth and it will be fast. Next. So benefits. So in this, what benefits we will get from the BPM process, right? So in the BPM process, it will improve efficiency. It will improve efficiency. Why? Because it is all done by the system itself. There is no human involvement on this. So by automating manual tasks and reducing the time for data processing, business can streamline their operations. Then we have a better compliance and control. Processes are controlled, ensuring that data handling follows business rules and compliance required. So end-to-end visibility. Organizations get visibility into the end-to-end business process, allowing them to make more informed decisions and improve the workflow. Next slide. So that was all about the BPM process. Now let's move on to the one-step approval. So in the BPM, right, it goes with the different approval process. So we have basically in the MDM, we have three approval process, one step, two step, and four step approval process, and then we have a custom also, right? So today we will be talking only the one step approval process. So in business 360, a one step approval process is a part of the business workflow management, that is BPM, where approval is required for certain tasks. Like we need, if when we want to perform the approval, right, we, like when users are creating the data, or they are updating the data, or they are deleting data, or performing merge or unmerge. Means we need a third eye to check that whether the things are happening properly or not. So for that reasons, we can just have some approval process so that someone look into it to avoid the errors. So means we can create these approval process when you just create the record, when user updates the record, when user delete the record, or when user merge and unmerge the records. So the next step of the workflow can proceed. Business 360 is a data governance and management solutions that help our organization make data-driven decisions. One-step approval features in a Business 360 is typically used to facilitate a quick approval process in the context of a business data management. So steps to create one-step approval in a business. So what are the steps to create a one-step approval? First, we need to log into the business 360, then we can navigate to the approval workflow section. From the approval workflow section, we can click on this workflow, and then we can choose the event tab, and then click on the add events. From there, we can select the user trigger events, fill all other required details for one-step approvals, which I have shown in the later slide. We'll go through that. So add approval task to the workflow. So in the workflow design interface, add an approval task from drop down and select one-step approval. Then fulfill the required details. How to configure one-step approval? So we can means like there are certain key points I have mentioned. So means like while configuring the one-step approval, we need to assign the approvers. Approver is the persons who will approve the data changes or creation or merge, which is being done by the users. So once user do this, it will go for the approval. Then approval notifications. There are a option for the approval notification. So once this they submit the request, it will go for the approval, right? So the notification will be sent to the respective peoples who is chosen for this approval, and then they have the approval actions. Like they have actions like what to do with the request, whatever come to the approver. So either they can approve the request or they can reject the request. Next. So one finalize workflow. Once you have defined the approval task and configured the workflow, finalize the workflow setting and save it. So testing. Once everything is done, we have to do the through testing so that we can see if the things are working fine and this one steps approvals are going as expected, and we can test the different scenarios to know if the process whatever we have set up is going smooth without any error. So example and use cases. Let's say you are managing a process that requires data validation before it can be finalized in the business system. After data is entered, a one-step approval task can be triggered to allow a manager to approve the data. Once the manager approves, the workflow can automatically move to the next stage, such as pushing the data to the final system. So means once it is approved, then it can be move to the next step or final step, so that the data will become the permanent for that particular system. So conclusion, the one-step approval process in Informatica Business 360 is simple yet effective way to streamline approval workflows, ensuring that only necessary approvals are needed before moving forward. By setting up a clear and efficient approval task, we can manage business processes more effectively so that it reduces the delays and a manual intervention. Next. Okay, so here we have shown the images for this one-step approval setup. So from the workflow, when we click on the workflow, we get this screen. So here we have in the last we have events tab. From the events tab, right side we have add events drop down. If we click on this, we get these three options: user trigger and other two system related, and this one. So means like this comes under the user trigger event. This one step approval comes under the user trigger event, meaning it will be only this operation will be performed when this user is doing any operation. If there is any like ETL process and all, this is not going to trigger. So meaning when user is doing any data entry or any operations in the system, then only this particular events will get fired. Then we have another screenshot. Here we have created this further details. We have put the trigger name, event name, and then we are saying workflow trigger type, and then later we have provided these options, and in the action section we can see for what are the options we want to perform these events, like create, update, delete, merge, and merge. So if we want only for the creation, we can click on it. If we want for update, we can do that. Or if we want for all, we can select all of them. Otherwise, individual, and then we can move on to the next. Okay, so after that, we have here right workflow. We have chosen this one step approval, right? In this one workflow, we have chosen the one step approval, and then here the approvers we have chosen like customer 360 manager. So this person will be the approver, who meaning it will be said once the user creates the record, the request will be sent to the person who has a customer 360 manager role. So means there will be roles created within the system where we will assign the individual persons who can approve each request, and then we can choose that role here. So in the another slide, you can see that we have saved this particular record, and then this is like this is coming in the one line where we can see everything is coming in one line, all those details whatever we fill. Apart from this, there are there are options to set the priority also, and we can specify the number of days. So priority can be high or low or medium, and based on that we can set the timeline by when this request will get approved. It can be 1 day, 2 day, or based on our urgency of the request. So, okay, next. So this is end of our slide, and we have completed this one. Thanks everyone.